Hello, beautiful, wonderful people. My friends, I need your help. I want to share my mission, and I want our community to benefit as many people as possible. This means you should write a review. You should write a kind comment. You should consider using the share button to share this episode with one or more people who you know will be touched in their heart and want to join us in our mission to help the world and to help uplift people. Thanks for your goodness, and I really, really look forward to expanding our community together. On this episode of Inner Voice,
if you want to do a double header, I would recommend listening to Renee Yokson's episode, if you have not yet, about the voice, and then come back to this episode that I could not also call the voice. So we've landed somewhere in the arena of perception, because JP goes on to talk about how their voice, different voices can connotate different social perceptions of who they are, even though they're the same person.
So can you tell me if that was a metaphor? How you as a young person tapped into your versatilities in order to survive?
Oh, yeah. So
at various points.
In interviews lately, when people are like, where did your ability to create characters come from? And I say, childhood trauma.
If you're not inspired, you don't have to.
No, I do know what you mean. There's something supported. I mean, I could transition to my more supported classical voice whenever I wanted to, but I'm afraid of blowing out my Yeti microphone.
I have a very strong temper, which I get from my dad. Thanks, Dad. And so there is a chained up, raging child that is one of my inner voices. And if not, it's only in the past few years that I've really learned to care for and accept and minister to that child, as opposed to try to lock them into a box.
Hey there!
Hey girl, hey!
I just got a tone. I got a tone. Hey! With lots of Y's in my tone. Welcome to the Jeffrey Marsh Podcast. I happen to be Jeffrey Marsh. If you're gasping, if you are clocked and shocked, and you're a shock jock,
what happened?
This podcast is for you. We're transitioning. It's a lot like a gender transition.
We're transitioning, but I'm not on testosterone blockers.
I was born Inner Voice, but now,
wow,
the Jeffrey Marsh Podcast. And I'm not mocking the fact that we changed the name. We heard from so many people, actually, that they really love the fine, fun community experience of spending time with us as people. So we did a little rebrand to make it more people forward, people centric.
Right.
And that people is me, I guess.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, by the way, I totally agreed to this, but the community with us in it, I'm not in the title, but I'm just your producer. And again, I'm fine with it.
Not just we don't. Hi everyone. I am Jeffrey Marsh. I am a student and teacher of Zen of over 25 years, best-selling books. Oprah liked my first book. I'm a huge star on a platform called TikTok. And what else? Instagram and on Blue Sky.
You don't have
the weirdest thing? I have followers on Blue Sky, but no, I didn't put anything up there.
You just made the account and then never did anything?
Made the account, have over 500 followers just like for existing.
For dead air.
On Blue Sky.
That's pretty impressive.
I should put videos on there.
Can I ask you something, which is also a joke that we can totally cut out if you're uncomfortable?
What?
You always say, I have 2 books, and Oprah liked the first one. Did she not? She hated the second one?
I think she didn't read the second one, which
okay.
I should just put it in an envelope and send it, Not that it would ever get to her, but...
It's just funny.
Yeah.
It's like she did not like the second one.
The second book, Take Your Own Advice, was an Apple Books best book, which is also very important.
Yeah.
And they're both bestsellers. So what can you do? Today's guest, though, was the voice, I forget the character name.
Boss
on
Baby?
X-Men 1997. No. That voice too. And also Gargamel in the J.P. Karliak is who we're talking about. Gargamel and Gargamel's eviler twin cousin? There's like two of them in the Smurfs movie, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, JP voiced both of them. JP voiced the character Morph in X-Men 1997. And I'm very excited to talk to them today. They were also the voice of Gargamel in the Rihanna Smurfs movie. And they are out non-binary artist and making their way to much success in Hollywood. So we get to talk about those intersections of identity, of industry, of being out, being yourself, and how that expresses itself in one's voice. It's actually quite a good, wonderful, dynamic conversation.
And I would actually recommend, if you want to do a double header, I would recommend listening to Renee Yokson's episode, if you have not yet, about the voice.
Absolutely true.
And then come back to this episode that I could not also call the voice. So we've landed somewhere in the arena of perception, because JP goes on to talk about how their voice, different voices can connotate different social perceptions of who they are, even though they're the same person. Really fascinating. I would recommend a back to back, and have yourself a voice reifies identity power hour.
And JP also helps specifically trans folks to be free within their own voice and their own power and identity as well. This is a really rich discussion. I have some reminders before we talk to JP. I would like you all to remember, we want to be seen. We want to be respected. We want to be understood as human beings. That's the fundamental drive for almost every human on Earth. And what does it mean when people assume you're only one narrow aspect of your total identity? It happens to us a lot as trans folks that people, only remember that about us, but it happens to voice actors that people only know you from your voice. What is it like to consciously broaden the picture for yourself and take that out into the world? Perception isn't passive. It is a performance, and that's okay, but it is also your power. And it is all right to be obsessed with how people perceive you, as long as you don't allow that weight to hold you back when you consider how you perceive yourself. When people assume who you are based on how you sound or how you look, reclaiming your own narrative, your own inner narrative, can be a total revolution for yourself. Complicating yourself, seeing the rich tapestry of all of who you are. And one more thought. Visibility can be more than just being seen. There's a deeper layer where you are also understood, and dare I say, I'm going to go right there, where you are worshipped. That's what we all deserve. Let's talk to JP.
Today's guest. Let me do that again. Today's guest is a voice you might recognize, even if you've never seen their face. J.P. Karliak, they, is an acclaimed voice actor, writer, and activist, best known for iconic roles like Morph in X-Men 97, Boss Baby in Netflix's The Boss Baby Back in the Crib, and Wile E. Coyote in Looney Tunes cartoons. Off-screen, JP is a fierce advocate for LGBTQ+ representation in entertainment. He's the founder of Queer Vox, a training academy and community platform designed to increase authentic queer and trans representation in voiceover. Whether in front of the mic or behind the movement, JP is changing how we hear each other and how we see ourselves. Please welcome JP Karliak to Inner Voice.
Hi, JP.
Hi, so glad to be here.
I'm going to go right there. I have this theory. So I love you. Hi, welcome. I have this theory that the best people, which you certainly are one, the best people on the planet Earth are constantly doing work so that other people that they come in contact with do not have the childhood they had.
I mean, yes, exactly.
All right, interview over. That's all I wanted to cover. I'm glad
Thank you. This has been fun.
We got to it.
Let's go to sponsors.
You help people release their self-expression.
Yes.
In voice, in an area that's usually filled with shame. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so tell me all your secrets. Tell me your techniques. Tell me what you do.
Well, it's so funny that the mission for Queer Vox has shifted in our 5 years of existence.
Mm.
I mean, the idea of what we're doing is the same, but the sort of the way that we deliver those services has become so different. In the beginning, we started in the very end of 2020 into 2021, when the DEI movement was burgeoning. There was so much excitement.
The golden age.
It was just like, it was like, let's get everybody in. And we were encouraging our members to lead with their identity, like, certainly have the training, have everything to back it up, but be very honest and forward about, like, you are a trans actor, a non-binary actor, like, say those things, because people are really looking for that right now. And our training was so vocational, so job-based. So let's get you into different facets of the industry. And now we're telling people, take it off your website. Strip that away. Strip that. Because now it's time to weather the storm. Now our advocacy within the industry is not, because we still have a lot of friendly people who are in casting or writers or developers who are answering to the executives telling them not to do DEI anymore, but themselves believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, how do I navigate this right now? And I'm like, look, don't assume that these trans and non-binary people can only play trans and non-binary characters. They have worlds within them. They have so much range, some of them even more than, a lot of cis or straight actors that you may have run into, especially trans femme individuals who, because estrogen does not affect your vocal cords, have had to train so much of their voice to be feminized, but still have access to all of those masculine notes. They can play gads of characters. I mean, I hired one trans woman. I was on an animated film that was kind of had a tight budget, and we didn't have the money to bring back the actors to do pickups, like to just do all of the little sounds and stuff and little
So she did all of them?
and all that. All of them.
That's a very queer story.
Yeah. Just just like
Yes.
this guy, this gruff guy, this, very airheaded woman, like, the
Right.
cats, we had to do cats, like, sure, all of it. So we're telling people in the industry, don't assume that this is all they can play. And also don't let the idea of authenticity get in the way of helping us to build long-lasting careers for underserved populations. Some of that means offering roles of the overrepresented majority to the underrepresented minority. And because, I mean, if you really think about it, how many, when I talk about so many of the incredible Black voice actors who started in the 90s, Cree Summer, Phil Lamar, Kimberly Brooks, who voiced white characters as they were coming up, because there just weren't enough Black characters on television or film to be able to build a career.
Mm-hmm.
So we need that opportunity. And frankly, all of us grew up in a cishet centered world. It's not like it's a stranger to us. It's not like we don't know how to be performative in a cishet setting. So we have that experience. We have that we can pull from, probably more, not even probably, certainly more so than our cishet siblings have, to be able to pull from a queer world, which they've never had to explore unless they did so on purpose.
Yeah, so there's an automatic versatility.
Yeah.
There's an ingrained versatility, sometimes for survival.
Totally.
Yeah. And so I would think most people encountering, because you're also famous, you, JP. Famous. No?
I'm voiceover famous.
Which list are you on? I'm in Los Angeles. So
I'd say E. E is probably below.
Like influencers are like J. I'm J.
I'm below Kathy Griffin.
So wherever Kathy is, I'm about 10 below she. Yeah, you bring all of that to your career, but I want to go back to talking about, take this out of your bio for now, because the times we're in. And most people listening, I don't know what most people listening, and it doesn't matter to me. What you are saying is a practicality, a centering your own mental health as a performer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're advising people who are voice actors who are trans, in the golden age of DEI, which I think you suggested, but I want to state outright, there were many more jobs, opportunities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People wanted trans people in animated series. Now we're in the dip of the EKG. I don't know if you would agree. And so it's time to sell yourself as a performer or an actor as tapping into some of those versatilities. That's what you're getting at. Yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me if that was a metaphor, how you as a young person tapped into your versatilities in order to survive?
Oh, yeah. So
at various points.
In interviews lately, when people are like, "Where did your ability to create characters come from?" and I say, "Childhood trauma."
You're like not wanting to get in trouble, or
Yeah.
XYZ?
No, I mean, I grew up a queer adopted only child, so people pleaser, capital P, was branded on my forehead.
Triple P. Yeah.
Yeah, I desperately wanted people's approval, to the point that my code switching was completely subconscious. If I encountered somebody with an accent different from my own, I was slipping into it completely unconsciously, sometimes offensively. So careful. Um,
Yeah.
I still
to
find
the
myself,
point-
especially
Sorry to
if I'm
interrupt
running
you.
into like a British person or a
Right.
Southern person, I start edging into that. I'm like, let's not do that. So yeah, it was very subconscious, just to fit in, to feel a part of, to feel pleasing to whoever I was talking to. I remember in college, I was hanging out at the mall with a queer friend of mine, and we were just chatting like girls, kikiing, all that. And we were in the Gap. I specifically remember we were in the Gap, and in walked a straight friend who I knew through improv, and he said, "Hey, JP." And I was like, "Hello, sir. How you doing?" And my queer friend was like, "What was that? Who are you? Who did you just turn into?" And I didn't even realize I did it. I had no
Right.
consciousness that I had just slipped into that other person. So a lot of my acting has less been, oh, how do I create characters? I've always been doing it. It's more harnessing the ability purposefully for money, as
Yeah,
opposed
PAID,
to
yes.
as opposed to just like these subconscious changes I'm making for the comfort um, and acceptance of others.
Yeah, and a lot of my work has been convincing people that their trauma responses can become superpowers
Hmm.
when the light side of them is emphasized or embraced. And to go all the way back to the first sentence I started with, can you tell me a little bit about when you felt you were being seen? So you joked that you're an E-lister, but the world you're known for is animation and voice.
Hmm.
And you've done these big projects. And that is a different kind of fame than on camera fame.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if there's also a metaphor in there that, in one sense, fully being seen in your work today, and in another sense, not being seen in the conventional sense, and how you might have felt, those similar dualities when you were a young person. You could be seen while performing, but it's not really seen because they don't know the whole truth, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, as an imaginative only child, I was doing living room performances for my parents.
Like,
I once did.
paint a picture.
It was mostly magic shows, or I think once or twice I did stand-up comedy badly, but still, I was attempting, or maybe just little theatrical presentations, all solo. But the one that I did have a Charlie McCarthy puppet.
How did I
Oh,
sensed
yeah.
it? Sensed it.
Yeah. But the one that I did that left them speechless, literally, was I came out in drag as Carol Channing. And I was probably, 7? And there wasn't rage, there wasn't screaming backlash, it was just silence. And I did my thing, and the show was over, and then we just went about our evening as if nothing had happened.
I was going to say, how do you interpret silence? I mean, they were so stunned by the talent, the sheer talent. No.
Yeah, I think I tend to think, and I've my dad has passed, and my mom doesn't quite as clearly remember the situation as I do. So I don't have definitive answers about what they were thinking, but from my perspective, they always knew I was a creative kid. They always knew I was a bit different, but I feel like that was the moment where it was like, this one is out of our depth. We don't know how to handle him. We don't know what to do with him. And he is and I mean this exactly as it sounds. He is definitely adopted.
Mm.
And
Well,
I think I felt that. I felt
Yeah.
that othering immediately, that it was like, oh, you don't get me. This is always going to be a lost in translation situation, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's why I was very specific in my language. I didn't ask why were they silent, because I don't have them here to ask them.
Mhm.
How did you interpret it? And it was that distancing and that othering for you.
Yeah.
And would you say it's also, I don't want to put too fine of a point on it, but it seems like a turning point for you, a very salient moment for you. And to me, it would be, and I would take it that the fullest expression of who you are was the thing that crossed the line.
Oh, yeah, entirely.
Yeah. When the LGBTQ came out in full force, that was it. So first of all, did they know who Carol was? Did they have a reference point?
Well, I will say I don't think that I specifically came out and said this is who I am. I think I had seen this person on TV. I don't think I knew what her name was.
Mm-hmm.
I'd seen her on Sesame Street doing some shtick, and I knew that we had a white wig, and I'm like, I'm going to be whoever that is. So it's not so much that it was like,
Oh, you didn't even know that, she was
no,
star
I
of
just
Hello
knew that
Dolly. And
whoever,
yes.
oh yeah, and Alice in Wonderland. I think I was
Jam
just like, whoever this
today.
person is, she's magic.
Jam yesterday.
Jam tomorrow, jam yesterday, but never ever jam today.
Don't, anyone listening, don't look up that clip. So,
What do you mean?
I mean, it will scar you for life. It'll traumatize
I mean, there are moments
you.
of that movie that, like, the whole Jabberwocky thing is terrifying.
I mean,
but,
I couldn't sleep.
Yeah. But
So
Carol
let's
Channing
change-
and Ann Gillian together, yeah, it's a must.
Let's change the subject. So
Mhm.
what's most you implied, and I want to get your confirmation, that crossed a threshold for you. Now you knew that magic show JP was okay. Was it that now we're looking at a whole spectrum, right? That like even better would be football player JP, even better would be whatever that is. And my family was also like straight A's would have been, amazing. But like now we have this spectrum, and somehow Carol Channing, do you remember what you sang or what you said, what the bit was?
It wasn't even so much of a bit. It was I came out as a character for an audience Q&A.
Oh, crowd work.
So I was expecting interaction, and I got 0.
And you're like, how about those crab cakes? I can't do a Carol Channing.
Yeah, no, it was a very quick act. It ended very quickly because there was nothing to do.
And that it's like they without even maybe not even being conscious on their part, they drew a line for you.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are in 2025, and for many queer performers, they feel that a line's been drawn.
Yeah.
So how are you assisting your community in having freedom when there's also the practicalities of the industry?
Well, I think I'm not going to say that we've pivoted away entirely from vocational career training, like that we've shut down, oh, you're never going to make it in this industry, so no, we're not even going to bother. That's still certainly a part of it. But I think we've made an active choice, especially for a lot of our beginner classes and coaching, on just, look, whether this is your career or a hobby or just something you've decided to try, let this be your respite. Let this be your safe space, your joy, your exploration, the place where you can play. Like, just treat this as your sandbox, knowing that the outside world is dark and scary.
You're definitely a voice actor. I mean, that just the outside world is so scary. It's very salient. Yeah. Thank you. And it is.
And it's even if somebody comes in and it's like, well, okay, I love all that floweriness, but I'm here to do a job and I want to make a career of this. Great, cool. You still need to have that sense of play. That's what all of this is. I can't do, the crazy, goofy, nutty characters that I do if all of it in my head is about numbers and residuals and somehow hitting a goal or some type of benchmark. No, it needs to have that childlike sense of joy and of discovery. And if you're not doing that, you're missing it. You're missing the whole point of this, because it certainly isn't something. I mean, every time, especially several years ago when the work was a little more robust, and I would get an influencer who just decided that they wanted to make some extra cash doing voiceover. It's like you don't know what you're getting into. This isn't the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want folks to have joy, even in the midst of looking around at a lack of joy. Particularly for LGBTQ folks generally, but also
as it in and of itself is an act of rebellion.
Say more.
Us experiencing joy, us finding satisfaction and peace within our own community, us being able to go outside of our community and permeate spaces with our identities and our joy. That's rebellion. That's revolution. Even if it's just as simple as advocating for yourself to be considered for an audition that, most people would have thought like, oh, well, that's going to go to a cishet person. It's like, actually, this person would be great for it. Why don't you give them a shot? And they come in with a positive and joyful attitude, ready to work, and they book the job. That is part of the revolution.
Yeah, and in the meantime, they had a joyful audition.
Yeah.
If nothing else, right?
Totally. And feel are able to walk out of there feeling valued. Like somebody literally heard me.
Okay, so talk to me about X-Men. When did you find out that you got the part?
I think the audition process and everything was in 2021, so we were in lockdown. I recorded the whole thing in this little blue booth behind me in
Oh.
lockdown. So I knew going into it the character was non-binary, that they were adjusting the character description from the 90s version of this show. Um, the pandemic was a moment for me of gender discovery, of when I came out as genderqueer. And as I frequently admit, as much as my founding of Queer Vox was altruistic, it also came from a selfish space of I had this new identity. I was in lockdown. I didn't really have a lot of queer friends, let alone gender nonconforming friends. And I felt it important to create a space that I could meet these people that wasn't like, hey, come and have coffee with me so I can ask you a whole bunch of questions about your identity without giving back anything in return.
Hmm.
And I think if there's anything I learned from in a post George Floyd world, when the Black Lives Matter movement was, so prevalent, unfortunately, at the moment, and not so much anymore. But it was the idea of if you want to be educated about a community or learn something from a community, even if it is your own, give back to them, you know, pay them for their work. So for me, that's part of the reason I created Queer Vox. So I was in a very gender explorative moment, figuring out who I was, and shortly after I had come out as that, said so to my agents, they put it on the website, is when I got the audition for Morph. And I just read the character description of this non-binary character figuring out their gender identity and sexuality in the 90s and using humor to push through trauma and code switching constantly. In their case, literally being a shapeshifter. And I'm like, great, I'm just going to play myself. Like, this is the voice I use for Morph. I didn't feel the need to gild the lily at all because I was just playing me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the opportunity to record in the booth with just the voice director on Zoom were like little therapy sessions of just feeling, personal moments of just exploring who this person was and what it felt like to be myself not that in that time period, but instead of being the teenager who was so bullied and misunderstood and not accepted, coming into my power as literally a superhero in that moment, who is accepted and is part of a team and is seen as a role model and a hero. So that experience in and of itself was amazing. And then the premiere happens, and I actually get to meet my castmates, who I didn't get to meet during the recording
Mm.
process, and also the crew. And that first season, the crew, the cast was such a ethnically and queerly diverse group of people, and just getting to love on each other and be appreciative of each other's work and accept each other as this little family of mutants. uh, it was gorgeous. It was really one of the most simultaneously professionally and personally satisfying moments.
Yes, they would love to see your Carol Channing.
Oh, I know they would.
They would have things to say. They would interact. They would talk. Yes, and how much do you think about the help that you are giving to younger non-binary folks who can start to see themselves as heroes because of Morph?
I don't think I gathered that would be the case. I knew the popularity of the series, of course, of just the X-Men property.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that this was a groundbreaking character, but I don't think I fully grasped it until we did our first Comic-Con right before the series even premiered. They were just like, there were people that were fully just going off of my performance from the trailer and I wasn't even in a lot of it. And we went to WonderCon in Anaheim, and first of all, the crowd was huge, which was I was not fully prepared for. And then going outside and meeting people after the panel, and how many people walked up to me and had just so many moving things to say about how Morph's mere existence, having not even seen the show yet, was impactful and meaningful um, and groundbreaking for them. And it has only increased since then. I mean, every convention I go to, every fan interaction I have, I was saying this yesterday on an interview about how do you feel about fan interactions about your characters? I said, look, I'm an extrovert, but I do have a little bit of a humility thing where I can accept two compliments, but if somebody is overly effusive about a character, I start to get squeamish, and I want to end the discussion and just move along because it just gets too uncomfortable. I don't love effusive gratitude. However, if they come up to talk about more, if I could talk about him until I'm blue in the face, like give me all the gratitude you want because I know how much bigger it is. I know the added impact that it has in addition to just being somebody that they enjoy and like seeing the portrayal of. I know what it means to them because it means it to me. Morph means that to me as well.
It. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. You said that because I'm going to compliment you 20 ways. It's not just about having the talent. Obviously, it's about having the life experience that gives 20 extra layers to Morph. And if you don't mind my saying so, what I see in your portrayal is a celebration of that little kid. Did you say it was the living room? That's what I envisioned. These theatricals.
Oh, yeah. Living room performance.
And were they scheduled? It's like Sunday at 8. Here comes
I think they
Carol
were scheduled
Channing.
the day. I don't think I had a concept of like let's plan something a week in advance. It was maybe I would decide the morning of before my dad went to work, like, hey, after dinner, this is happening.
And it is, perhaps it goes without saying, but I have to state it outright. This is why it's necessary to have characters that are from all kinds of lives, all kinds of backgrounds. Because humanity is. But I will tell you, you didn't mention that your work saves lives. Quite literally helps people keep going. And that's a function of the depth that you bring to every moment of Morph.
Thank you.
So, tell me about a moment when your life fell apart. What'd you do?
Oh.
Ooh.
There's a smorgasbord to choose from. Trying to think of the one that feels
A buffet?
most relevant.
Just pick anything.
I'm gonna say there was a moment in during lockdown. I started taking antidepressants, let's say 7-8 years ago. I think that's about right. I don't need to get into which one because I don't want to Tylenol anything right now, but I took it for several years and it stopped working the way it should for me. And I was experiencing some real roller coastery emotional highs and lows. And this was in the middle of lockdown. This was at a moment where I was starting to create Queer Vox, but I was feeling very lonely and unaccepted, both knowing that I was a genderqueer person, but also in trying to do this work and feeling like there was nobody who was going to be able to jump on board this with me. Um, and I would I would walk my dog around the neighborhood, and there was this apartment complex that I would walk past that had a little fence that was right next to the dog path. It wasn't locked, and the little fence went right into a pool area. And that was the pool that I decided, I was like, okay, that's where I will drown myself. And I had it pretty well envisioned of like, okay, this is what it's going to look like. And I found it later, I found it very ironic that that's what I chose, considering I have no greater fear than drowning.
Hmm.
I figured, of course, me, the multitasker, I was like, let's kill two birds at once. I'll conquer a fear and
Get over that fear.
Yeah.
While you're gonna do it.
It wasn't punishment as
Overachiever,
much as overachievement. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
But yeah, it was all very overwhelming. And luckily, I have a very good therapist and psychiatrist who were able to get me onto a different medication, which is so much better for me. And that kind of went away. But I don't feel that the feelings that I was having were irrational or fabricated out of nowhere. Like I was having very real imposter feelings of inadequacy, feelings of not being enough or being too much or not being able to handle the burden of holding up a community. I think it was just my chemical processes of being able to handle those feelings were wildly inadequate. But I don't feel like anything I was feeling during the time was like, oh yeah, that was just the meds making that up. It's like, no, that was all real. That all was very valid stuff I was feeling. I just wasn't equipped chemically to handle it.
May I ask you about it?
Yeah.
The inner voice. You mentioned several that are really common, especially in those episodes in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
You're too much. You're not enough. You can't handle this. Was there anything else that was specific that was going on that you would classify as an inner voice? And I can be more specific, but what was the dialogue like as you're planning? It was, this is the answer. This is what's gonna help. You have no other choice. What was that flavor?
It was, I think it was a desperate seek for quiet. There was too much noise, so much noise.
Can you classify some of the noise? Like what?
I think one of those inner voices was, not I think, I know, one of those inner voices was, I have a temper. I have a very strong temper, which I get from my dad. Thanks, Dad. And so there is a chained up, raging child that is one of my inner voices. And if not, it's only in the past few years that I've really learned to care for and accept and minister to that child, as opposed to try to lock them into a box and not deal with
or keep them
their
chained,
rage.
as it were.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, so at the moment they were unchained, unrestrained, and uncared for in any way. So they were just raging all over my brain. And I did not have any tools to be able to quiet them, soothe them, give them what they needed. And I just needed it all to quiet.
This is a beautiful portrait to me of learning about reparenting oneself,
Mm-hmm.
which is a common approach especially in Western therapy contexts. And from my Buddhist background, I want to ask you about an overarching judgmental voice. The thing, the linchpin, the thing holding in place that you cannot minister to this child inside you. You cannot, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You cannot take them seriously. You cannot let them out of the chains. You cannot. I'm assuming that was also present, because if it wasn't, you would just go into treating that child with kindness, right? So there's some judgment that you have to keep it hidden, you have to keep it down, you right, etc.
Yeah, and a lot of it stemming from I hated that kid
Yeah.
because I was so afraid. To me, that child represented a weapon of mass destruction. If I unleashed that person into the world, I would destroy relationships. I would destroy my career. It would just be a pathway of destruction.
That kid cares mostly about justice, right?
Yeah.
Fairness.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between letting that be expressed, letting the screaming go on, versus letting that child make your decisions about your taxes. You know what I mean? Letting that child run your life, like literally make job decisions for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what you were pointing at is this beautiful relationship of acceptance. And that acceptance doesn't have to mean a total takeover. Did I get that right? You found that balance eventually.
Yeah, and also validating like that what to this part of me, what you are feeling is real. What you are feeling, I honor, I validate, I believe you. This is true. And let's find more productive ways to express our anger at them. That's what the journey really was.
Because
let's find the language.
Yes, and because on a certain level you could relate
entirely
to feeling the anger, and the injustice of the world and everything that brings up anger, And so when you say I just needed the quiet, you're not specifically referring to that child's life reactions experience. You're referring to that overarching umbrella of judgmental, like things shouldn't be this way, a story that if the child is let out, that this will happen, that happen. And it seemed like silencing the child was the answer, but it seems like you've added layers to that.
Yeah. I feel like that voice was demanding justice about so many more things than I thought that I would ever be able to handle in my lifetime. Adding so much more baggage and burden to what I was expected to accomplish than I thought I could handle. And it just felt like, well, either I just have a domino pile of disappointments, or I just stop the game right here. That felt like the choice to me.
Yes, and I think what you're saying is it turned out to be a false binary.
Entirely.
Yeah, because you could learn to, my word, not yours, you tell me if it doesn't fit, mentor that child, reparent that child.
Totally.
I would say, in my own experience, like, hug that inner child while they're kicking and screaming. And just be the safe space, right? Yeah. And just become the safest space for that child instead of needing the child to go away. And so, easiest of all questions, how does that inform your work today, JP? That integration, how's that going? You care about justice, I assume.
Yeah. I think especially from the position of advocacy, I am a big believer in the gray. I'm a big believer in the complexity.
Mm.
I it takes me a minute to write somebody off as, oh, this is a person that is never going to come over to, never going to understand my position, never going to respect my position. I'm always trying to find like, okay, let me see where you are coming from. Let me see what is informing your position. I can probably like I was having this discussion yesterday with someone about J.K. Rowling,
Mm-hmm.
bless her, and uh, and they were like, "What is it? Why do you think she's just so hateful?" I'm like, actually, I can tell you. I know what that is,
I can pretty much
and
identify with that myself.
yeah, and
I've been
I
hateful in my past too. Yeah.
yeah, and and the trauma that she has experienced and what that has informed,
Mm-hmm.
I understand how that foments into an unreasonable, blindered, you know, cause, as it were. I get it. I don't excuse it, justify it, or I'm still will rage against to get everybody to boycott, but I don't think she's a monster.
Mm.
Like in the under the bed fantasy kind of way. No, she's a person with an evil cause. And I think humanizing even our opponents is so important to be able to not only to be able to find common ground when possible, but even more so to understanding their motives is how we are able to find what our defensive plan of attack is going to be. Like how do we combat that? Where is it coming from? And I think in this work, even coming across fellow queer voice actors who perhaps are from a different generation and have always looked at voice acting as their way to have their private, in quote unquote, in the bedroom queer lives and never let it bleed into their work. The idea of authenticity is anathema to them.
Mm.
It's like I don't want you, like if you're casting a gay person and you only are, or a gay character and you're only looking at gay people, I won't audition for it because that's unfair. It's like, well, who is it unfair to and why? There's a level of digging that they don't want to do because there is so much internalized shame and all of the things that have come with you know uh, having lived through such arduous times as a queer person that they don't want to deal with. And I need to come into those conversations with understanding, being like, I know why you feel this way. I get it. I grew up in the 90s. I know what that is. I know what that feeling of like my lifestyle, my quote unquote lifestyle will always be behind a closed door in the shadows, unseen to the general populace. And I need to do everything I can to keep it that way. I know why you're doing that,
Mm.
but we're not there now. And if anything, we save lives by promoting spaces of being our authentic selves and being that publicly and pushing that out there. So I don't need you to change what you've been doing so that I can make you more uncomfortable. It's because I want you to help me make so many other people feel safe. And
Amen.
yeah, and I'm especially, I need more people to live in their discomfort. I need more people to recognize that comfort is a lily pad. It is not a destination.
My word, as LGBTQs, we've been forced into our discomfort around every corner for quite
Right.
a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only way we move forward is by embracing that and pushing forward with it rather than constantly seeking the bread and circuses that are going to make us feel better. It's
Mm.
fine for a moment. It's fine for a breath and a recharge. Please take those. Recharge, self care. but it's not the metaphor that I always use is, I think we've started to use the metaphor of putting your mask on first before helping others a bit too liberally, in the sense that you're putting your mask on first so you don't pass out while you're trying to assist somebody else. You're doing it for your safety. It is not put your mask on first, put your feet up, put your tray down, get your soft drink, then help the next person. It's like, no, 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 no. Well, I need you to be uncomfortable. I need you to be safe, but then I need you to work through your discomfort to start helping the next person.
And to be kind to fellow human beings. Regarding one last thought regarding Ms. Rawling, I have a commitment not to dehumanize anyone else. Opponent, lover, hater, whoever. I mean, LOVER, right? HATER, lover, hater, right? Anybody in the sphere, I have a commitment not to dehumanize, because I know that that's the road to dehumanizing me. Thank you for coming. I love you deeply, dearly. Thank you for the richness of your work and what you bring into the world, who you help, why. Thanks for being a good human. I'm so lucky I get to do this all the time of my life.
Question.
No. What? Question.
Why are we wearing different outfits?
Why do you have to point it out? Because I'm living in the Matrix. I have gone forward in time. I've gone back in time, and now I'm forward again. Because I'm a trailblazer.
Well, let's wait. Let's hold for truck.
But hold for truck.
Which Wachowski sister are you?
I'm sort of an amalgam of both. That's how I see it. Oh, you want to be the other one?
Well, if you're one, I would have been the other.
Yeah,
but
the other one.
Let's
okay.
both.
We'll work it out offline.
Let's just stick to trivia.
Yes, trivia. It's time for my favorite segment.
Well, let me scroll. God. Okay. Sorry, I'm here. According to a 2022 USC Annenberg study, again, scholarly, right? We're switching to our scholarly resources. University of Southern California, Annenberg study. What percentage of speaking characters in animated films were identified as LGBTQ+? Speaking characters in animated films.
Animated films.
How many are alphabets?
Yeah, that's so interesting. Speaking characters were in animated films. In what year?
2022.
2022. Leading up to 2022, it was a bit of a golden age, I think, for LGBTQ representation. So let me say that how many speaking roles were LGBTQ? Well, we're 10% of the population.
How many
so let's
characters, right? How
characters?
Many? Yeah, animated characters.
I thought it said spoken roles in the animated. So
Yes.
not just like a random character, or any character, I should say.
Sure.
So speaking characters were 10%. The population is the old yarn. Whether that's accurate, it's different for Gen Z. But setting all that aside, 15%. That's high. I'm going to be disappointed, but I'm sticking to it. It is so fun to be doing this. I know we have our community question, but I wanted to say first, what a great interview. And it's one of those things where I enjoy listening to JP just because they have wonderful things to say, but also when somebody has that level of vocal training, it's also just fun to sit and listen. Do you know what I mean? Like on different levels.
I do know what you mean. I'm sorry. I was responding.
You may. If you're not inspired, you don't have to.
No, I do know what you mean. There's something supported. I mean, I could transition to my more supported classical voice whenever I wanted to, but I'm afraid of blowing out my Yeti microphone. But there's something
right. It is dangerous.
There's body. no, I'm going to go back to being queer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a body to
That's
it. There's a presence to it.
Amen. What fun. So you have a community question?
Speaking of Jesus, I have a community question. I'm a trans actor with a deep voice, and I'm afraid it'll limit the kinds of roles I can play. Or how queer enough I seem. Those are two, I guess, different questions. How do you push past what other people expect your voice to sound like?
Oh gosh. I mean, the first thing that I would talk to this person about if they were here in person was push past. I mean, that's a whole implication of what you're up against. And I'm not belittling anyone's experience, but at the monastery, we talked sometimes about being jello when someone's trying to nail us to the wall. In the sense that how much do we resist and what do we get for our resistance? It could be a rich place to explore. But to talk about the content of this actual question, what it seems the broadest thing we could talk about is what do we do when people make assumptions about how we sound and who we are based on one tiny characteristic? And where is that balance for all of us between being true to ourselves and trying not to limit ourselves in a world that makes assumptions and judgments? And I'll leave that balance to be explored by everyone listening and simply say the way that the world changes is by more people being unabashedly themselves. Today's discussion has been such a rich experience for me. I tried to break into voice, by the way. I never told that story. I tried to break into voice and to be, because people find my voice very relaxing and very soothing. And so I tried to do voice acting for a while, but it never panned out for me. So I really respect JP and folks who are making it work. You got a trivia answer?
Do I? That was my excited voice. Do I ever?
I thought it was a little like downstairs British Cockney. We were
Do I? Jeffrey, according to a 222, sorry.
Chimney sweeps?
According to a USC Annenberg study, what percentage of speaking characters in animated films identified as LGBTQ+?
Oh, dear Lord. I fear I was way off the mark on this one. I said 15%.
You said 15%. Zach reveals. Answer. Point.
Point?
There's a point there. 0.8%. Fewer than 1%.
0.8. So
fewer than 1% of speaking roles in animated films
were
LGBTQ plus characters.
Yes, 0.8%, aka 4/5%. 0.8% is not the same as 15%, is it?
No, I would dare to say 1 is a whole number and 1 is not a whole number.
One is 15 whole numbers stacked on top of each other, and the other one is not yet a whole number.
It's less than 1.
Yeah, okay, so here we go. The industry favors certain voice actors and certain voice characters. It's not interesting because I'm a little obsessed with animation that has LGBTQ characters like Dead Endia. What did Jacob do? She-Ra. Cartoons. X-Men 1997. I mean, I tend to have those things float around me, so it seems like more characters, I guess, to me.
No, so what's kind of interesting here for me is that animation is not a children's medium. There's very much a culture in this country that animation is a lesser art form, which is trash. It's false, and it's trash. But that's the perception. And so following that same vein, a lot of cartoons, a lot of animation are for children. It's a lesser art form. It's more imaginative. You can do more childlike stuff, whatever. Along the way, we've come to associate animation with children, with younger audiences. Let me say it that way.
Right.
And I don't think it's blasphemous that out and proud alphabets are not necessarily in your children's programs. Now, someone's going to take that and comment and say that I don't believe kids should be taught about LGBTQness. That's not what I said. Have fun chewing my words anyway, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I don't think it's a wild correlation. I don't think it's a wild happenstance that if the majority of animation in America, because I'm making it culturally specific, is for younger people, that the percentage of out and proud alphabets would not be as prevalent because those shows are not about those things. That's all I'm saying. Like Blue's Clues doesn't need a lesbian salt shaker. That's all.
Well, and also we don't know what the salt shaker does.
Well, so Out and Proud, by the
her
way,
private life.
Characters that were identified as alphabets. We all have our speculations. We've all known SpongeBob was gay for years before it was confirmed in the.
Yes, and I think there's also you're also pointing out that there's a cultural. There's a cultural reluctance by the established powers to include out and proud LGBTQ stories in young people's programming, even today, even though they should not have that bias.
Yes.
You agree with all that?
That is so eloquently packaged.
I tried to hang my words together there. Hope I did okay. And at the same time, animation is full of such fun and such play and such beauty and color and creativity and things that I associate with the wonderful LGBTQ rainbow folks. So it's really fun. And what? BoJack Horseman. We got different categories of shows. What's that one where they're teenagers and they're monsters? That one.
Monster High?
No, Netflix and they're monsters. The inner monster is like out because they're young people. Big Mouth.
Oh, thank you. Sure.
You thought of.
I thought of
things.
Quagmire in Family Guy. I thought of Quagmire's mother,
also animated,
who transitions. Yeah, and how that's not for kids, but there's a trans woman not for kids. There you go.
Yep. Yes, it's been a wonderful journey today and a beautiful conversation. I do feel deeply that it's the mission. It's the point of me being on this earth, to get to do work like this. And if I haven't said it enough times already, you listening. I wouldn't be able to do this work without you, in a very practical way, but also in a spiritual, metaphorical, poetic way. I really do need you. And I'm glad you're here. Please remember, being unseen by someone else, if they can't see you, that doesn't make you invisible. I'll say that one again. If they can't see you, it doesn't make you invisible. It doesn't make you unworthy. It doesn't make you trash, whatever the voice in your head is saying. Also, the voice for some people, if you're a voice actor, for example, the voice may be where perception starts, but the picture of who you are can take time and become clearer and clearer as people get to know you. And that's an okay process. Assumptions about who we are shrink us, and speaking our truth expands us. And I'll just say one more thing about the voice itself. Your voice isn't just a series of sounds, obviously. It's a signal, it's an expression. And when you are speaking the truth, your truth especially, it leads people home to their own truth. I love spending time with you all. Let me give you a gift of love with a short meditation. Close your eyes. Breathe deep. Shake a little bit. Wiggle a little bit. If it's not safe to close your eyes and they're still open, draw your attention inside. We have this cultural conception that our personality is behind our eyes. But as far as I understand it, in the brain, as far as I understand it, many cultures have had different conceptions of where the soul lives, where the person lives, where the personality lives. Can you take a deep breath into your heart? What if the center of your entire being was heart-based? What would it feel if who you are was behind the sternum, at the top of the chest, full, open, a deeper understanding of yourself and your connection to your own body? I don't usually ask this of you, but if you're in a place where it's safe to do so, we're going to make a sound. Take a deep breath in, please. Fill up with breath and hold the breath there. And then H-A, ha, sigh as you relax. Good, we'll do that again. Inhale. And this time as you H-A, ha, sigh, it's okay to open your eyes and get ready to continue the rest of your day. Thank you for spending time with us. I love spending time with you. Bye for now. This has been Inner Voice with Jeffrey Marsh. Today's episode was produced by Zach Latino. If you're ready to go deeper, transform your life, and experience personalized support, my one-on-one coaching sessions can be applied for at jeffreymarsh.com. Know someone perfect for Inner Voice? Send them our way. Have them visit jeffreymarsh.com to sign up for our exclusive online community, and we'll reach out if their inquiry aligns with an upcoming episode. Remember, you are worthy exactly as you are. See you next time.